Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'na wa anfa'na bima alimtana wa zidna ilman bi fadlika wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with us and our work and our effort that we're trying to make in this day and in this month of Ramadan, in which it is different than the previous month of Ramadan that we've had or that we've experienced. Alhamdulillah, with every door that closes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up new ones. And sometimes the doors that He opens up are sometimes better than what we may have expected or what we may have assumed to be the case of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be a part of. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, has sometimes make circumstances and situation in order to test us, in order to see who remains patient, and in order to see which one of His servants are able to rise above that. And so alhamdulillah, this Ramadan, most of us, if not all of us, will be spending a considerable amount of time in our homes. And because of our masjids are closed to the public, then we do things that we normally would have done in the month of Ramadan, like praying Tarawih in the mosque, perhaps eating iftar on the weekends in the masjid, going more frequently in the masjid, donating to the masjid, and so on and so forth when we attend the masjid. And so it's changed, but we can continue some of these practices, but within our own homes and via these social networking facilitations or programs or apps that we have that we're using to convey knowledge, inshallah ta'ala. So today, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we're going to do the first juz, and we will be doing this every day, inshallah ta'ala. We'll be looking at a thematic understanding of the Quran, juz by juz. And so this is the first day of Ramadan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be most praised by making us attain to this blessed month of Ramadan. We'll be looking at parts of every juz, inshallah ta'ala, every day, and learning at the same time collectively and together, inshallah ta'ala. So juz 1, as we know of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts the Quran off with Surah Al-Fatiha and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and then the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Fatiha, the surah or the chapter of the opening, as it is called Fatiha. But Surah Al-Fatiha is also known by other names that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used Himself in the Quran, and that the Prophet ﷺ called Surah Al-Fatiha by names that we know of that has come down to us in the Quran or in Hadith by the words of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like what? Like Al-Kitab, Quran, like the 7 most repeated verses, Sabah the 7 most repeated verses, or Shifa. So Kitab, the mother of the book. Quran, the mother of the Quran, the 7 most often repeated verses, and we repeat and we say Fatiha in our salah in every rakat that we pray. Alhamdulillah. And it's also known as Shifa. It's also known as the healer. And the Quran acts as a source of healing for the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, and we have sent down the Quran what contains within it a shifa, a healing, a source of healing for and rahmah and mercy for the believers. Walak alhamd, and to Allah and to Him is praise, all praises. And so these are the names of the Quran. The names of the Quran are there in order to emphasize something that you can gain through memorizing, through the repeating, through to the recitation of Quran. It'll be a healer, shifa. It'll be the mother of the book. It will be a shifa. It will be the most oft-repeated verses. It will be the most praised one, alhamd. For the Surah Fatiha is also named Alhamd, the surah of praise, the surah of praise. And so we will get from the name, it is a yudillu ala the what the essence of the surah is, the name of it. And so alhamdulillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given many names to Surah Al-Fatiha. Now, it is the first Quran to be revealed in its entirety. It came down in its entirety. Obviously, we know that it's not the first verses to be revealed. That was Surah Al-Alaq, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. We know the story of the Prophet ﷺ, Angel Jibreel coming to him in the cave. And we know that Iqra, he asked the Prophet ﷺ to read and to recite. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ responded that I'm not a reciter, and so on. But Surah Al-Fatiha takes the distinction of being the first completed surah or chapter of the Quran to be sent down in its entirety. And if you look at the Quran as the ulama have looked, the great mufassirs, the great scholars of tafsir, of explanation of the Quran, they have told us that the Surah Al-Fatiha acts as an opening for the Quran, an opening of one's heart to the Quran, an opening of an understanding that you will get in the Quran, an opening of the doors that leads to manifest blessings in the Quran, the doorway for you to understand what will come in the Quran, almost as if it's acting as an epilogue or is acting as a means of chaptering and the topics that will come in the Quran. You will have verses that will praise Allah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. You will have verses that will mention the glorious names and sifat, the traits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the merciful, compassionate. You will have verses that come in the Quran that substantiates and says to us, for us to take on, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner and dispenser of the day of judgment, Maliki Yawmiddin. We will have verses in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the believers and tell people, call upon me, worship me, ask me for help, and I will help you. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. You and only you do we worship, and only you do we seek help. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran will ask us and guide us to always seek success. That we should seek success, that we should look at the attributes of the people who are praised in the Quran, like the muttaqeen, like the salihin, and the characteristics of the muhsineen, that we look and we see that they are the ones who are asking consistently for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Grant us success, guide us, and grant us success in that guidance along the straight path, not just in anything, but grant us success along that straight path. Siratal mustaqim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has characterized and put traits about what the Siratal mustaqim entails. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put awamir, commands, and He's placed prohibitions in the Quran in order to keep one on Siratal mustaqim. Sirat alladhina an'amta alayhim. The sirat, the path in which those people, those categories of people have bestowed your trait, bestowed your blessing, and amta alayhim, that they have bestowed upon you their blessing, that they have praised you. They have praised you. Not of those who have been led astray or your anger falls upon. غَيْرَ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Not those who your wrath is falling upon, or those who have been led astray, those who went astray. And so we have in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those who rejected the truth. We have in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about people who went and who turned their back on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and turned their backs on the prophets, all of the prophets who came. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this. And so as you can see, Surah Al-Fatiha lays that ground and lays that foundation in which we will know now that we will come across things in the Quran that we can attribute back to Surah Al-Fatiha. We will come across things that are going to be expanded in Fatiha. Now, expanded in the Quran, but mentioned in Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is a surah of such immense worth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us how to call upon Him. One of the aspects of Surah Al-Fatiha is that it teaches, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us how to ask of Him. This is why one of the names of Surah Al-Fatiha is Ad-Du'a. One of the names of Fatiha is Du'a, is supplication, the supplication. This is one of the names of Fatiha, supplication. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as our scholars have told us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us the method of supplicating to Him. What is the method of supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You praise Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. You start with praise. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And then you go to calling Allah's wonder, His most auspicious and most perfect of names. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. His 99 names, the names of beautification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the names of His attributes. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And then you continue on in your dua after using the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You verify who Allah is to you. Maliki Yawmiddin. He is the owner and possessor of the Day of Judgment. He is the owner and possessor of the Day of Judgment, that we will have to stand before you, O Allah. And so we are saying that you are the owner, you are the possessor. You are the one who we will stand before on the Day of Judgment. You are the one who will protect us. You are the one who will shield us. You are the one who will save us. You are the one who will have mercy upon us. You are the one who will give us mercy and forgive us. You are the one that we will stand before. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And then we say that you are the one that we worship, only you. And only you do we seek help. Meaning that the essence of this dua that we're making for you, we're not making this dua to anyone else. We're not going to ask anyone else. What we're going to ask of you, O Allah, it's only to you. We're not going to ask anyone else. We're not going to put in the category anyone else, because you are our Lord. You are Khaliq. You are Rahman. You are Rahim. You are the most merciful. You are the most compassionate. You are the one who we love. You are Wudud, the one who is loving. You are the one that we seek help with. And you are the one that we worship. You are the one that we're going to ask for help. Help may come through the means of someone else. It may come through the means of a creation. It may come through the means of someone granting you and giving you that help. But it wouldn't have occurred if not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitting it. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who permits. And then, alhamdulillah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us and allows us to benefit from that help. But it's in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. And so even if the means of His help come through others, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And you are the only one we seek help with and help from. We are the only one. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. And then we ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what we need to ask. So in our dua, we don't open up the dua and say, oh Allah, grant me this. Oh Allah, grant me this. Oh Allah, grant me this. Oh Allah, I ask for this. No. You open up the dua and you say Alhamdulillah. You open up the dua and you make salutations upon his messenger. وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَى سَيِّدِنَا Muhammad. And then you ask Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. You ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his names. And then you ask and you say, Oh Allah, you are the one that we turn to for help. You are the one who we're seeking help with. You are the one who we are turning to. You are the one who we know will grant us the help that we need. You are the one that we only worship. And then you make the ask. Oh Allah, guide us. Oh Allah, help us. Oh Allah, relieve us of our pain. Oh Allah, give us shifa, give us healing. Oh Allah, protect us. Oh Allah, grant us success in this world and the next. Oh Allah, grant us success, grant success to our children. Grant success to our parents. Oh Allah, forgive those who have passed away. Whatever dua. But it starts off with praise. And it starts off with calling the names of Allah. And then you ask, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Guide us along the straight path. Guide us along that straight path. And be specific in your asking of Allah. Be specific. Be specific and have your heart turn to Allah, that you know that Allah is going to answer your dua. Don't go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a dua that you're not sure of. Go to Allah that you know that He will answer. That you know that Allah will listen. And He'll answer in the way that He wants for your betterment. Go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in where you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to answer you towards what is in your betterment. Because maybe we don't know what is in our betterment. Allah knows better. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what will happen to us tonight, and knows what will happen to us tomorrow, and know what will happen to us next week and next year and 10 years from now. Allah knows. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your supplication in what He thinks is best for you, not what we may think is best. Because what we may think is best is short-lived only by the moment that we're living in. While Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that will occur down the path and in every moment of our life. And so leave it to Allah and be specific. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never said ihdina. He never said, oh, let my servant say guide us. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us be guidance to what and to what and how and in what method. Sirat al-mustaqim, guide us and give us success and guidance along the straight path, and further clarifying it. Sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim. So we're very specific now. Not only are we specific in what we're asking, but we're specific in how we're asking. So we're defining, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah defines for us what the sirat is. It's the path in which those have bestowed your grace, bestowed upon you praises, not those who have incurred your wrath or your anger and those who have gone astray. So now we're very specific. So when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask Him, oh Allah, grant us success in this world. Oh Allah, grant us success in what we earn. Oh Allah, give barakah to our earnings. Oh Allah, grant us safety from this disease, COVID-19. Oh Allah, save us from all diseases. Oh Allah, grant us success in Jannah. Oh Allah, grant us the highest part of Jannah. Be specific in how you ask Allah, like Surah Al-Fatiha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to be specific, told us with His kalam, with His words itself, about how to be specific. And so this is Surah Al-Fatiha. This is the first surah of Juz 1 of the Quran. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts Surah Al-Baqarah. And Surah Al-Baqarah is the second surah of the Quran. And Surah Al-Baqarah is a Medina surah. As Surah Al-Fatiha is a Meccan surah. What is the distinction between the two? This distinction between the two is the Meccan surahs or ayahs or verses are those that came to the Prophet and was revealed to him before the Hijrah. And the Medina verses are the verses that was revealed to the Prophet after the Hijrah, after the Prophet migrated to Medina. But they don't have to be revealed in Mecca. or they don't have to be revealed in Medina. Some verses were revealed outside of Mecca proper, and some verses of the Quran was revealed outside of Medina. The first verse of Quran, Iqra, was revealed where? Outside of where we call the Haram al-Sharif, where we call the Haram. It's outside of there. It's outside. It's on Jabal Nur in Cave Hira. And so the distinction of Meccan and Medina verses is the hijrah, is the migration of the Prophet ﷺ to Medina, to Yathrib. And so Fatiha, Surah Al-Fatiha, is a surah that was revealed in Mecca. Now, there are differences between the Meccan verses and the Medina verses. If you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the surah of the cow, it is the longest surah in the Quran. It is around 2.5 ajza, 2.5 chapters long. It takes 2.5 chapters to complete Surah Al-Baqarah. Now, Surah Al-Baqarah is long in their verses, and this is generally the trend, as the scholars say. This is generally the trend of the Medina verses. They are longer than the Meccan verses. The Meccan verses also are very short, but they're very illustrative. They're aslub taswiri, the ulama say, meaning that the Meccan verses, the words themselves, it will come to your mind. Pictures. The pictures will come to your mind. You'll have thoughts about what Allah is talking about, either to give you hope or to fear. And so the verses in the Meccan period are verses in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a young community. They just started. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just revealed to them the Quran, revealed the last guidance to them. This is now the place where Allah is strengthening their tawheed, strengthening their belief in His oneness, strengthening their belief in the Prophet ﷺ, strengthening their belief in Allah, that He is the creator and that He's the sustainer, and that in Him, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is where their hope, is where their afterlife is dependent upon. Success in the afterlife. This is where they understand that there's an afterlife. They're not just living this world and that's it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Meccan verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places very distinct, short, and very important verses to substantiate and hold the believers in their belief. Hold them in their belief. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does in the Meccan verse. Is the Medina verses. Now the Prophet ﷺ has left, gone to Yathrib, to Medina, and now he's setting up a community. And in order to set up a community, what do you need? Laws, and you need regulations, and you need protocols. And so the Medina verses, you have rules. You have the rules of mirath, of inheritance. You have the rules of marriage and divorce. You have the rules of buying and selling. You have the rules of how to deal with one another if you get into disputes with one another. You have this happening. What you also have in the Medina time that didn't happen in Meccan time, you have the Prophet ﷺ dealing with others outside of the disbelievers who were polytheists. Now you have the Prophet ﷺ having to deal with Ahlul Kitab, the Christian tribes and the Jewish tribes. That's what you have in the Medina verses, because there are tribes within and on the outskirts of Medina within that were Jewish tribes and Christian tribes. And so in the Medina period of the verses of Quran, all the verses in Surah that were revealed after the Prophet's hijrah, after he migrated with the companions to Medina, now you have specific verses of Quran dealing with how to make a community, how to legislate within a community, and how to be just in a community. And the Prophet ﷺ, as you know, one of the first things that he did was to establish a mosque. One of the first things that he did also was to establish a constitution of Medina. Some say the first constitution of that was put in place in order to understand this, in order to guide this community, and to put down rules and to put down protocols within it. Now, the verses of Quran. We'll talk about some of the verses of Quran. So it's very important to understand when we do tafsir, it's very important to understand the context that the verses was revealed in, and to understand where it was revealed in, and what was the situation that guided these verses to be revealed in. And so you have these these verses that came down. Now, when you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala starts it off by what? He says, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says what? After making huruf, saying the huruf, and most of the ulama say that these huruf, these letters that starts off these surah, in which Surah Al-Baqarah starts off, as well as other surahs starts off with letters, that the mutashabihat, that they are unknown, the meaning of it is unknown to us. Some of the ulama in the past have said perhaps they mean this. They try to explain what they mean, but we will leave it as unknown. We don't know exactly what Allah meant by the letters that starts off some of these chapters of the Quran. Then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, "What ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ." This is the book. This is the book. That is the book. لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, in which there is absolutely no doubt. Absolutely no doubt in this book. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and it is a guidance for the people who are God-fearing, the ones who are conscious. Meaning that if you have a doubt, the book is not going to benefit you if you keep reading. Because this book is for those who have absolutely no doubt, or who want to find the truth. This book is for someone who wants to find the truth. And if you read it, you'll find the truth. But if you have a doubt and you are against it to begin with, when you read it, you're going to see things you don't like, or you won't want to understand. So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, there's no doubt in it. And it is a guidance for the God-fearing. It is a guidance for those who are God-fearing. And then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describes the people of taqwa, muttaqeen, the people that have taqwa, have consciousness, God-fearingness. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describes them in 3 verses. And then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and when you read the Quran, read it, and you'll see that then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, after describing the muttaqeen, the people of consciousness, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala then describes the disbelievers, the kafirin. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala now describes the disbelievers in 2 verses. Right after Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describes the disbelievers, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala now describes a 3rd category of people. And the 3rd category of people Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describes are the munafiqun, are the hypocrites. The disbelievers are the ones who turn their back on Allah, and they don't want to accept Allah as their Lord, or the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as the last and final messenger and prophet. The hypocrites are the ones in which Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says that they are the ones who come to you saying they believe, and when their faces are turned to someone else, they say, "We don't believe. We're just fooling them. That we're just tricking them. We're just mocking them. We're just mocking them." Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala describes the munafiqun in 13 verses. Now this is the way of Allah. Look at what He did. Allah describes muttaqeen, the people of belief. Then Allah of God-fearingness. Then Allah describes those who turn their back on Allah, the opposite. So in the Quran, one of the ways of Allah Subhanahu in the Quran is that He talks about opposites. That if Allah mentions something, He'll mention the opposite and classify it or clarify it. This is one of the ways of the Quran. That Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, when He talks about something, He'll talk about the opposite right after that. Alhamdulillah. And so Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says to those who disbelieve, كَيْفَ تَكْفَرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَكُنْتُمْ أَمْوَاتًا فَأَحْيَاكُمْ ثُمَّ يُمِيتُكُمْ ثُمَّ يُحْيِيكُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says this in these verses. He says, right in the beginning of verse 28, He says, how do you disbelieve? How do you disbelieve in Allah? كَيْفَ تَكْفُرُونَ بِاللَّهِ when you were dead. وَكُنْتُمْ أَمْوَاتًا, and you were dead. You were nothing. You were dead. You weren't in existence. فَأَحْيَاكُمْ, and then we gave you life. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you life. He brought you out from the wombs of your mother and gave you life. ثُمَّ يُمِيتُكُمْ, and then He will cause you to leave, to die. Then He will cause you to die. Your lifespan is going to end. Your lifespan will come to an end. ثُمَّ يُحْيِيكُمْ, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will give you life again. We'll give you life in resurrection. We'll resurrect you. ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, and unto Him you will return. You will return in the hereafter. And you will be requited for all of your works and all of your deeds. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the disbelievers about and the munafiqeen about. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about. Now, in this first juz, inshallah ta'ala will end within a minute or two. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the first juz of Quran, He talks about the story of Adam and Shaitan, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Shaitan to bow down to Adam when He created him. He did not. He turned his back in arrogance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was thrown out, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions, as I said, Ahlul Kitab, the story of the Jews and the Christians and of their prophets, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam. He mentions the story of Ibrahim and the building of the Kaaba and the dua of Ibrahim that was then manifested in that of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so this surah is an important surah to go through. This surah also makes reference to the 5 pillars of Islam. This surah itself, mashallah, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the Shahada Tawheed in verse 21. He mentions the Salah in many places, 238. He mentions Zakat in the end in 254. He mentions Sawm, fasting Ramadan, in 183, and we'll cover those verses inshallah ta'ala tomorrow. And he'll mention Hajj at closer to the end of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of these pillars of our faith in this first surah of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions them for our benefit, in order for us to hold firm within our deen and within our faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be kind to us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favor us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of believing men and believing women. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in knowledge and practice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fast this day of Ramadan and all days of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us in our hearts kind, make us in our hearts loving. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and have mercy upon us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of those who are sacrificing their lives on the first line, those first responders, our medical professionals who are sacrificing a great deal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them and protect their families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all those who were responsible for this program and these programs in the month of Ramadan, whether working on it, establishing it, facilitating it, working on the posters of it and the nuts and bolts of it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them, protect their families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase them in closeness to Him for the service and the wonderful service that they are offering for all of us, alhamdulillah, so that we can learn together, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and protect us and accept our fast. Inshallah ta'ala, we will see everyone tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, at the same time, 6:30, inshallah ta'ala, which we will do juz number 2, inshallah ta'ala. Please remember me and my family and myself in your dua. Please remember those who have passed away. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them forgiveness and His mercy. Those who are sick, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we ask Allah to give them shifa tam and wadawaman, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them complete healing and nurse them back to good health. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this and for more. And finally, we say, make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifts us from this so that we can get back publicly to our masjids and our masajid, inshallah ta'ala. Ameen, ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.